You gotta break out the yellow flannel. You're talking about a legend here. Hey everyone, Tano here, the internet's busiest music nerd. And it's time for a review of the new Iggy Pop record, Post-Pop Depression. Rock icon, Iggy Pop, new full-length album over here. Which, you know, maybe not everyone in theory is excited for a new Iggy Pop record, but it's better than the new Stooges album. And this isn't simply a solo album from Iggy, Josh, and Dean from Queens of the Stone Age, as well as Matt Helders, drummer for Arctic Monkeys, join him on this record, so it's kind of a collaborative effort, especially since Josh seems to handle not only the guitars, but the production on this thing as well. And it definitely sounds it, not only from the flavor of the guitars and the guitar tones on this thing, but the way that the drums and the vocals are mixed a lot of the time can be likened to some of the production stylings on Queens of the Stone Age's latest record, Like Clockwork. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. That record was produced very well, and I do think it is one of the better rock albums of the past 5 years. Though this album in comparison is not quite as aggressive or punchy or compressed, and instrumentally I think it takes a slightly more subtle approach. It's not quite just balls to the wall rock record. Take the song Vulture, for example, which has kind of a spaghetti western vibe to it. Does this sound complement Iggy Pop though? Are the songs good? Are Iggy Pop's vocals well performed? Generally, all the answers to these questions are yes. I think this is a pretty good record. It's solid. It's on point. I like the vibe of this album too. There's something kind of weird and stiff about it that reminds me a lot of Iggy Pop's The Idiot, which is a pretty great record and an interesting sound and vibe to return to at this point in his career. Except on this occasion, with the production sounding a little bit like the production on Like Clockwork, there is a harder rock edge. The music on this thing has a weird balance of emotions. It's uneasy, it's weird, but it's also muscular and well-defined, a lot like the current day physique of the Lizard Man himself. And it's a pretty varied album too. Iggy Pop and company go for a different instrumental mood on almost every track here. But before I get too deep into the tracks, I want to talk about the title of this thing a little bit. Post-Pop Depression, which I think says a lot. I mean, we could either be talking about post the pop music era that Iggy Pop comes from, the rock and pop music eras that he comes from, which at this point are dead and gone. Or maybe we're talking about a post-Iggy Pop era, post-Iggy Pop depression, as in like his career relevance is over and gone or something, which is maybe something he has had to reflect on now that we've had an album like Black Star just drop. I mean, we have these amazing rock gods who have dropped just game-changing albums, dying left and right. They're in their twilight years, they're dropping their twilight records, and they're reflecting on these themes of just things being over and coming to terms with death and coming to terms with this lack of relevance in a very real way. And in a way, I think this album over here is Iggy Pop's own ode to his own bygone era. And with this theme in mind, of course, the album has kind of a dark undertone to it. It's moody. It feels almost as if it's in mourning, but also it's catchy and it's kind of sweet on the ears. Iggy Pop makes his intentions known on this album right from the opening track, one of the lead singles from this thing, Break Into Your Heart, where he dramatically proclaims, "I wanna break into your heart." This album is not a challenge. It's not a cerebral mindfuck. It's trying to charm you. It's trying to, as Iggy Pop says deeper into this refrain, crawl under your skin. Crawling in my skin. Sorry. On this track and on the rest of this album, Iggy Pop plays the role of the charming oddball, and he does it well. And a lot like David Bowie did on his last record, I think Iggy Pop uses the wear in his voice to his advantage. The chorus on this thing is great, but the verses, Iggy Pop sort of seems to slink back a little bit while Josh Homme's desert guitar riffs are sort of the star of the show. Also impressive is the song Gardenia, maybe my favorite track on the entire LP, another fantastic chorus. I wanna do Gardenia. It's just this really cool shoulder swaying pop tune with a hypnotic chorus that is just kind of washed over with these warm, enveloping, wavy tremolo guitars. And lyrically, Iggy Pop delivers this kind of subversive sexual angle. It's almost as if he's this guy who is obsessed with a prostitute or something, and he's trying to get with this particular prostitute who he sort of seems to have an infatuation with. I also love the moments on this track where he kind of falls out of singing and sort of dramatically delivers lines about her hourglass ass. On the song American Valhalla, I feel like my presumptions about the title here are kind of confirmed, as Iggy Pop is looking for some kind of afterlife here, or maybe just I don't know, assurance that his name is going to be remembered once he's gone. I like the rigid thumping bass line on this thing, the very sleek, smooth guitar leads that sort of contrast very well from this hard groove. It's kind of rigid. And in the lyrics, Iggy Pop sort of seems to be desperate for this American Valhalla, singing about how who does he have to kill to either get there or find out where it is. Talking about also how he has nothing but his name, which he says a few times in a very sobering voice right at the end of the track. Again, it sort of seems like he's trying to get into this American Valhalla, get into this place where he is remembered, just based solely off of his fame and his street cred. The song In the Lobby is okay, has some sort of intensified swagger to it, sort of an ear-piercing, shrieking moment from Iggy Pop in the lyrics, but the chorus seems built off of a riff that is either recycled or just borrowed or maybe a leftover from Like Clockwork. You know, it's one thing for this record to have just similar production aesthetics, but once guitar riffs start popping up that sound like they're borrowed literally from the record, I'm just kind of, I don't know, just tuning out a little bit. I feel so unenthused by it because Iggy Pop, while again, I don't mind that there are similarities between these two records, he's just such a standalone pop icon that he deserves his own distinct sound and record. This to me seems more like a moment on the album where Josh takes over. I sort of feel the same way about the final track on here as well. I love the track Sundays though. The groove of this track galloped into my heart by the 30-second mark of the song. I was already into it. It sort of seems like this weird fusion between disco topped with a Steppenwolf guitar riff and maybe a little bit of Strokes in there for good measure. I love the additional singers on this track too. They add a lot of character, a lot of color. Definitely one of the better tracks on this thing. The song Vulture, as I mentioned previously, love that track too. Has a fantastic instrumental, kind of a south of the border flavor to it, very dramatic, and the huge noisy ending on this thing is unsettling and just mind exploding. My mind exploded. I'm now dead. Dead. The song German Days, though, instrumentally, is maybe the messiest on the entire record, and it's not necessarily the better for it. It has promise right at the start with kind of a hard rock flavor, but I feel like it just devolves from there into a bit of a clutter. And the song Chocolate Drops might be a meditation on fame and how essentially when you're popular, when you're famous, your shit turns to chocolate drops, but it just kind of seems so, I don't know, trashy and sort of like they were running out of ideas at this point. And the closing track, which I already said I don't care for that much, what I especially don't like in this track are probably the lyrics on this thing coming from Iggy Pop, where essentially he drifts away from singing to go into this weird monologue or rant about technology and the information age, where he's getting like angry at a laptop or just saying, I don't want all this information, which just seems so weird and cranky and out of touch. I just cannot get into it at all. It kind of it really ruins the vibe of the record for me. But maybe it's because I'm at a point where I can't fully relate. You know, maybe in the future I will be totally angry at and I will hate the virtual reality porn and the sex robots and the installed memory brain chips that the next generation is very likely to receive. All of that being said, again, this is a pretty decent record. Some great singles off of this thing. Not too many tracks on here, so the deep cuts on here that are drab, that are boring, that just aren't that great, really do hurt the overall vibe of the record because there's not a whole lot of cushion in the track list here for Iggy Pop and company to be putting out a lackluster track. Still though, majority of it is good. I'm feeling a light to decent 7 on this thing. Transition. Have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You the best? You the best? What should I review next? Hit that like if you like. Yeah. Iggy Pop, post-pop depression, album review. Thank you for watching. Forever.